6 years ago. It was a very, very simple idea that we wanted to base a game around a character, and a character that you can actually see on screen. We thought that the game was the strong point of it, but we began to hear all these people talking about Lara and saying, you know, when's her birthday? And people were actually talking about this character as a real character that actually thought she existed.
She's a great character, and she's a great role model, and she's got an energy and a charisma for life.
We really wanted people to identify with the character, and we had a real sort of dilemma because we knew that this character was going to have weapons, and you know, you get into your mind a sort of a muscle-bound, sort of, you know, clumbering, and it wasn't what we wanted. We wanted something that was a character that was very agile and people could relate to, and it became a woman.
She has all the things we love about James Bond. She's got all the cool stuff, and she's got all that sexy intelligence. But she's also Indiana Jones, and she's a real straightforward person.
The timing for us was such a cultural change in society, from men and women, the way that they all think, the way that they even watch movies, listen to music, play video games. A huge swing, which Lara kind of just got swept along on that phenomenon, and actually was picked up and used as an icon for it.
The fact that she's a girl and enjoys it and is curvy, I think that's wonderful, that it's all of that, and the fact that she's also really good at all these things, and not good because she's as good as a guy, good because even if she was competing with a guy, she might win, but just because she's a better fighter, not because she's a girl.
Hold it right there, I'll shoot you in the back!
You gonna shoot me, Alex?
Laura, give it up. These guys are gonna kill you.
The one thing about Tomb Raider, it's big all around. Lara Croft is big everywhere, and I think that's what's so appealing as a project, a challenge, that you've got to satisfy a lot of people in a lot of places.
I was just as much a snob about film made about video games as anybody. I'd never seen one that worked. But as they asked me for probably the third and final time, I sat down and thought about it seriously, and I thought, you know what, this actually is a really cool character. This is a female action hero, and we haven't seen one of those for a while. I'll track the camera across.
I do this, this, and then stay there while you tap.
Simon, he had a very, very ambitious and specific point of view with regard to the intensity of the action and the scale of the movie. That was very impressive.
You needed someone who didn't blanch and quake in having to face a big action sequence, as well as some very emotional dialogue sequences.
You said you were a lawyer?
Yes.
And the study of clocks is a hobby?
This is an obsession.
It's very complicated, and Simon gets it on all levels.
The world that she operates in is sort of the best of everything. You can have action, adventure, but because she goes into these weird underground tombs, you can have surreal sequences as well. So there was no limit to what I could invent. And so that's when I said, you know, I want to do Tomb Raider.
We go, roll video.
Mr. Powell!
Hold your fire!
Well, we can do it my way, or we can all come back in time for the next alignment, and you are welcome to try and kill me then.
Lady Croft, tell me, is there a good...
Do it again. Stand by, please.
I really only ever had one choice for Lara. I couldn't think of anyone else apart from Angelina Jolie. She peeks around, comes back, this goes off, bang, 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 bang. She had everything. I mean, to me, she was invented for the part.
Sometimes I can read a script, and a lot of times it doesn't turn out to be half as good as we hoped it would be, and this one is 10 times better than I imagined.
Like that, into the background.
And then I met Simon and everybody, and talked about what it was going to be like, and how intense it was going to be, and a really strong movie, and not cartoony, not stupid, and not camp.
We wanted to offer up a new experience, new elements, new locations, a new storyline, as well as with the character Lara, to really flesh her out in a real way, almost answer all those questions that the game never had to deal with.
The way to make this work is to take it seriously. I wanted to make a character that people thought was real. She sweats, she bleeds, and she gets emotional. She's not a cartoon character who has the perfect end to every scene.
Do you know what day it is, Hilary?
The 15th.
And that is never a good day. The way he talked about it and the way I could talk to him about acting and work and characters and just the things that he imagined, I knew he was going to make a great film.
He has an enormously large vision of this movie. There's a size to everything, which is very, very impressive. But at the center of this global adventure, the core of the story is about a daughter's relationship with her father.
I had to look for someone that would measure up to Angelina. So I thought, well, why not her real father, John Voight? Again, I wasn't sure whether they actually wanted to work together, so I kind of approached them separately, and they loved the idea. And that just works so well because they're having these emotional scenes between a father and a daughter, and they really are a father and a daughter, so they're completely real.
I've missed you.
And I've missed you.
It's a very special thing because our relationship is very, very similar to these two people. They have similar loves. They have similar sense of adventure and want to set things right. Curious about life, curious about the past.
I took it without having read the script. I said, I'll do this. We're going to do this together. Then I read it, and I was delighted and surprised at the story. I said, this is a great story.
She's full of fun and fire and is certainly enjoying everything about this adventure.
It goes into mysticism, foreign locations, intrigue, drama. There's no end to it.
Time to save the universe?
Absolutely.
This film has a high-tech scientific element. It has arch villains and comedy relief sidekicks.
Don't stop.
It's an action film and an adventure. Each sequence is like, whoa.
It's kind of got everything in it. There's mystery there, there's betrayal there. They sweep us into these extraordinary sets and take us to these exotic locations.
It's James Bond, Indiana Jones, rolled into a young, attractive, modern girl.
I couldn't figure out how I was going to act this character. And Simon, he said, no, you have to become this person. And so I worked really hard to be able to jump in her world and her skin a bit.
We wanted to give her the opportunity to get in absolutely the best physical shape, mental shape, and to look as much of an expert as she could in all the areas that she's going to have to pursue.
I'm trying to learn how to fight, not just pretend in front of the camera. I'm doing a bit of everything. Taking yoga and strength training, weapons training. But it was great because after 3 months, I'd lost any kind of touch with my normal self. Laura is very, very much a girl. I wanted her to have her curves, and yet there's something tribal about her. We worked on things with the hair, and I wanted her to have a mohawk. And she kind of does. There's a braid that goes like this. Also, I wanted the clothes to be monochromatic, mainly just to keep it about the shape.
Somehow there's something about how Angelina is herself and how her clothes are that have kept her slightly separate all the time from her environment. And you could show Angelina 5 pieces of fabric that are grey, and she knows which one exactly will suit her. Lots of pajamas, about 60 pairs.
So I'm just going to come tighter on this camera, okay? There you go, but it looks great.
Then the whole debate started about what colour they are, what kind of pajamas, you know, what are they made of. Simon kept saying, I want them to flutter, they have to flutter.
There was something very technical about the clothes with her. It took us weeks to figure out the belt harness and how the gun harness and the straps around my legs would stay on and stay up. It was kind of really complicated.
Angelina had really, really strong ideas about what she didn't want to be like. She didn't want to look like a biker girl, you know, with torn-off clothes and really worn-out stuff.
So the clothes, we wanted everything to be flattering and fitting like you know, she wears. And the shorts, it took me until I think 2 weeks before filming to agree to get into a pair of shorts. Just to get me to walk around in these clothes, I felt like I was naked for the first few days.
Lara Croft, she's so sexy. She knows exactly what she wants, and she knows she's capable of doing lots of things and having fun with it.
Do you want me to shout 1, 2, and then just go under, or can you just take it yourself?
Right, so I'll take that moment, I'll readjust. Okay. We talked about it in the beginning of this film, that the big thing for me would be to learn what I could from this person and kind of become her as much as possible. And so I wanted to be able to do as much as I could. Go ahead, throw it at me. I can do this.
Angie had to go in training for this for quite a number of weeks, and I assumed that I'd be shooting most of it with a double and we'd just be shooting close-ups of Angie. And then I went to see how she was getting on, and she could do it all. And I thought, this is fantastic.
It was all her. We did not use a double at all. You know, she does double, triple somersaults, coming right to the floor and then taking her right back up again. And that is something for a leading lady, your star, to do that was absolutely incredible.
Well, they got what they came for.
How are you going to get the clock back in 15 hours?
I'll be calling in a favor.
These movies are really often quest movies. It's all about finding something and going to strange places to do it. I wanted to go to real locations that were exotic and unusual to the audience, and it was hard to think of places that hadn't been seen a lot on film.
Cambodia is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Angkor Wat is what, the largest spiritual building in the world. And it was stunning.
Oh, that's amazing. It's so beautiful. The lilies and the reflections, everything. Unbelievable. Well, originally I wrote the idea to be the Great Wall in China, but it was not possible to organise getting to China in time. The alternative was to build the Great Wall in Scotland. And the prospect of shooting in Scotland in the winter didn't appeal to me that much. And also, when I thought about it, I realised that the Great Wall would only give me sort of one big element, and I needed so much more. So I looked around the world for other great settings, and I happened to come across Cambodia. All the time you're walking, you're trying to see her.
Okay. You walk amongst those temples, and the scale is so enormous, and the detail is so rich that it's beyond comprehension. You can only just marvel.
No films have been shot there since the early 60s, so there's a whole generation out there that have never seen a film set in that environment. And also this great undiscovered temples there in the jungle that have been abandoned for 400 years, and so they have trees growing up through the roofs of them, and you just can't build that kind of scale and reality and have the real insects, the actors really sweating because it's so hot. It looks totally real because you're there.
And action! You must get the clock back, Lara, and destroy it.
Things happened that you couldn't really plan.
256, echo, take one.
And we had 100 Buddhist monks in orange robes suddenly walk past you, and so you turn all the cameras around and say, you know, we have to have that in the film, because how often do you get 100 Buddhist monks walking past this temple?
She comes here to center herself, to find help, and they heal her. I think the lesson learned here is to listen to people, to be open to things, to look around you. She's led by the magic of the place.
The Cambodian sequence is a very mystical part of the film. It's where a lot of things come together in terms of the story and in terms of Laura's understanding of her past and herself.
You know, it's kind of, in a way, is the spiritual heart to the film, and I think it touched us all in quite a profound way.
It's actually magic here. I just stepped out of the middle of chanting, and I don't think I've ever been so calm in my entire life.
I think that's my favourite costume, and it's almost the only bit of colour in the whole film. And it is, in fact, oddly, a colour that she loves. And they give her some pieces of fabric which are in the monastery, and it's inappropriate for a woman to wear the orange, which the monks wear. So we had to kind of try and make her look like she'd been given something by them, but without wearing the colour that they wear. Simon put her so that the sun shone from behind her, and I just thought she looked luminous.
And cut.
And forward, sharp.
It did take a huge amount of organisation. We had to send people over here months in advance to arrange everything.
We've recruited pretty much all the staff you see here because as the locations team we've been here the longest.
They were all very good. Timing was perfect. Well done.
Everybody has been well impressed by the locals. And same with the extras. They've been phenomenal, you know. They've never done this before. This is the first time.
Come on, guys!
They've never had to pull down the East Gate at Angkor Thom. It's not a normal thing. It's not a day job for these guys. They're rice farmers.
The extras are terrific. Some of the best extras I've worked with in the world. You know, they're natural actors. It's been, one of the most pleasurable experiences for me shooting anywhere in the world.
Through this film and just being in this environment, I've learned a lot about the world. It seems so small, and this girl packs up, and her life is about exploring the world, understanding what it's about, and so I got to do that, and it changed my life.
To me, these sort of archaeological action-adventure films are all about sand. And so I made this edict that there would be no sand in this film whatsoever. So I thought, well, where isn't like that? Well, snow isn't like that. So I wanted somewhere to represent Siberia. So we ended up going to Iceland.
It gives me a lot of variation on locations. There's lakes with icebergs, different sorts of mountains, rolling hills, so I can get a lot of different environments. Yeah. You all right, Andrew? You're getting cold?
This movie, it deals with a lot of the elements, so we've got the, the ice and sledding and, rocks of ice.
Iceland, an extraordinary and awe-inspiring place to go to. Endless miles of whiteness. There was, in fact, solid ice, not even snow. So an unbelievable place to go and a great opportunity to see that.
There was an idea that we'd sort of charge across the glacier on sort of four-wheel drive Land Rovers, and then suddenly Simon got to Iceland and they had these ducks, these amphibious vehicles. And he just went, we want those. So in the end, we sort of went travelling along on these amphibious craft.
Taking a unit of air size onto the glacier was quite a thing to organise, really. And the trek up to the glacier was a very narrow road, quite steep and some sharp turns, so it amazed a lot of people that we actually got them up there.
It's such an alien environment. We were working on top of this massive glacier the size of Wales.
Go up the hill 10 feet and then walk down.
And you really felt you were at the butt end of the world, but it is a stunning landscape.
Got it. Okay, good. Got there. Okay, head down, Stevie.
This area has its own weather system, and it's completely unpredictable. So you're dealing with wind and cold and rain and sleet and snow, which makes shooting here inhospitable.
What sort of country is an ice cube?
You're left with no doubt as to, that nature is the kind of the boss there. It lends an element that you could never actually do with CGI or special effects.
You can almost sense the Norse gods. There is a real primal feeling to it, which we could never duplicate on this stage.
Iceland was freezing, and dog sledding in Iceland was just wild.
Y tus trailers, visita mi canal.
It was hard not to feel like Lara Croft when I had guns strapped to me. I'm dog sledding, I'm on a glacier, and every once in a while the dogs would be a little uncomfortable in an area because you realize there was a crack that went down a mile and they just didn't want to go over it.
We're going to come downhill now, from up there. It's extremely dangerous because there's huge crevasses everywhere.
They say if you fall down one, you're never going to come out because they're V-shaped and some of them are very deep.
Guys, stop! Stop!
We have to take a lot of precautions. We have safety guys that lead us through the path, so we can't just run around like we normally do. But it looks very dramatic, and that's why you come here. We come here to get the real thing.
Wow. When I started this film, I knew I wanted to have incredible sets, and I went to Kirk Petrocelli, and he just came out with these brilliant designs and built these things on such enormous scale that it blew me away as much as anybody. I mean, you always ask for the moon, but, you know, in this case, I actually got it.
I really didn't realize the scope of it until I came here. These sets are insane.
One of the themes of the game is the collision between very modern and very ancient worlds. And we wanted to really embrace that in the production as well.
The overall look of the film will be kind of the colliding of super modern with super ancient. We've taken ancient structural elements, the Angkor tombs, and assigned modern geometries to the tomb itself.
We actually did build the tombs full scale on stages because in a way it would make the action more real, so we ended up with these incredible environments.
It's mind-blowing. I mean, completely mind-blowing. These guys created these just utter worlds, you know.
We've taken what's called an orrery, a complicated system of the planets in alignment moving, and turned it into an ancient, super-sized mechanical key to a puzzle. With the time-lapse camera, you're going to see structural elements come together. First you'll see large shapes, then you'll see finishes going on, then come the mechanics, the super mechanics of the orrery itself.
The technical side of it was quite difficult. You've got 9 planets in the sun. How do we make the 9 planets miss each other?
The orrery set was actually very difficult because it's a very mechanical set and there's a lot of elements in there that are actually not only difficult but dangerous. It was all made out of steel and all the arms are swinging around, and if you're standing in the wrong place you will get cut in two.
It's very dangerous. You're quite high up and revolving around and there's nothing beneath you. But Angelina, she seems to have no fear.
Cut it, cut it.
Visually, we're going for a giant wave coming down the slope and out the archway over there. We've got 2 huge tip tanks up there. There's 70 tonne of water coming down in one go. We're going to get this wave coming out, which Lara Croft's going to run underneath.
Do we have enough cameras?
I think at one point I had 14 cameras on the big set piece just because these events are unrepeatable. It only happens once. But that's what's fun about these movies. It's almost like being in the action film yourself.
Here we go, roll video. Stand by. 320 Charlie, take 1A camera.
I'm running through this orrery with water just crashing down, a tidal wave coming. There's planets exploding, debris falling. I'm not even acting, it's just like go from here to here and don't get hit by anything.
You go all over the world, you go into these fantastic sets, you have these great action sequences, but at the center of it, you love this person. I mean, you just want to be with Lara Croft the whole time.
I'm very excited because movies that I saw when I was young, growing up, this is so full of extraordinary stuff.
I've just been blown away by this film. I don't feel like I shot a film. I feel like I've been on an adventure and I just survived it. When I first got here, I felt like this little geek, this little like scrawny, young actress from LA.
One more time, let's go forwards.
And then through all the training, my body had changed and my mind had changed because I had a totally different focus.
I knew that I was going to have to put Angie through some pretty rigorous training. I got her over to London and basically put her into boot camp because there were so many different disciplines that she was going to have to learn.
And I felt like I was being formed into a special agent.
We wanted to give her the opportunity to look as much of an expert as she could in all the areas that she's going to have to pursue.
Angie worked 6 days a week, doing 6 or 7 disciplines per day to get in shape for the film. Special weight training, she had to go on special diets.
They've got me on a program, got vitamins and teas and protein shakes, and I'm trying to have that high protein, low carb thing. I'm like this weird experiment. I think they're all seeing what they can do to me.
Basically, Angelina started 3 months prior to shooting. What we had to do at first was build her physical strength up and body tone.
I was extremely out of shape. I hadn't gone to a gym in years.
Nice and relaxed.
I've actually changed since I got here. Much more flexible than I was. I gained some weight and put on some muscle. It's been great. They're really taking care of me.
As well as doing the physical training scheme, she was then doing a fight training.
Eunice was teaching me kickboxing and really teaching me to fight.
Just keep that tight. The kick's nice and get your hips in flat. Just good.
I'm trying to learn how to fight properly and learn how to really fight. And Eunice is a real fighter, so she's not just teaching me how to pretend in front of the camera. We're going through it and learning. Really trying to learn all the techniques and really know how to do it.
Get this nice motion there. It's going to be jab, you're going to go jab, and then just kick.
The sort of fighting style we've gone for is more of a street fighter. She's not a karate expert or anything like that, but you're using a combination of things, like a full contact type karate.
Good, much better.
I feel like I'm doing a bit of everything. I mean, we wanted to make it a real fight. I'm also learning just some good old street fighting and some knees and elbows and headbutts and, a square punch in the face.
When she punches someone, they don't come back.
I never took yoga before. I thought I'd hate it, but I really like it.
Yoga is just relaxation, and also it's muscle tone as well. It's very good for mind and body.
I wanted her to really be as whole a human being as possible, and I think we wanted her to have that fire and that fight, but also have that really strong center and be really relaxed.
Angelina would start with yoga at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then she'd come to do weapons training.
We had military weapons training, getting on your knee and knowing how to position yourself.
Good. One target only.
And they'd set up things all around the place. Things would flip around, I'd have to duck and dive and roll, and I was losing my mind.
Advance. Up!
She's a perfectionist, so she wanted to look as good as she can possibly look. It's nothing worse than to see an actor that insists he knows how to use a weapon. Everybody watches it and knows anything about weaponry goes, oh my God, look at it, he held the gun backwards.
Whichever target you come across first, treat that as a maximum threat.
Within the weapons training, she was taught by an SAS instructor. SAS is the English Special Forces.
Take out him, go for him, stoppage, draw your pistol.
He first just taught her basically how to fire a gun.
Short bursts. Up!
We had to bear in mind that Angelina was left-handed. We had to have a specially made gun that would fire and she could reload properly with her left hand.
Turn to your left. Up.
I had to learn some things that she does that now I can do them. Probably unless you practice it, nobody can do those. They're her things.
I walk in, and here I see my daughter standing on a column that's been broken down. Take her guns out and flip them in the air and throws them into the holster. Whoa! Doesn't anybody realize how unbelievable is it?
To sort of understand her dedication and her ability would be to sort of compare it to an actor training to be an Olympic athlete and then being able to perform at the level of an Olympic athlete.
I wanted to be able to do as much as I could, and so I've worked really hard to be able to jump in her world and her skin a bit.
She's just done so much. She did fight training, she did motorbike riding, she's done husky dog racing, she's done gymnastic training.
The other day I was trying to think about what haven't we done to her? You know, and I think the only thing we haven't done is lit her on fire.
Angelina should be the role model for action actors in that we turned her into something that you really wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley. But then maybe again you would.
Everybody ready? Well, one of the first ideas I came up with for the film was the bungee ballet, because I thought, what would Lara Croft do to relax? She's not going to play chess, she's not going to watch TV, she's going to jump 50 feet off the balcony of her staircase and bungee ballet.
Turn over!
We talked about it in the beginning of this film, that the big thing for me would be to learn what I could from this person and kind of become her as much as possible.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's exciting and dangerous, but it's also beautiful. And I wasn't even sure whether she was ever going to be able to do it.
I didn't know that I could do certain things. I never tried bungee ballet.
It was all her. We did not use a double at all. You know, she does double, triple somersaults, coming right to the floor and then taking her right back up again. And that is something for a leading lady, your star, to do that was absolutely incredible.
Originally, I planned to do it mainly with stunt doubles and then just do the usual coming in for close-ups with the star. But of course, Angelina, you know, is brilliant and can do anything. And so when we put her in the rig, we found out that she could do it all herself. So I don't have to use doubles at all. That's great. Whenever you can have your star doing these things for real, then you should do it. She's amazing.
But the bungee thing is just, it's fun. It's free. She's really open and flies back and falls forward, and there's no boundaries. A lot of people live in a kind of careful space, and she's just like, really out. And that's the perfect thing, just to fly around and control it and go up and down. And it's very graceful. It's ballet.
The bungee ballet was always in the script.
On action, just straight past it, okay?
But then we wanted to take it one stage further, and there's an assault on the house with all the intruders coming in. So we wanted to use the bungee in some original way or form to dispatch all the intruders.
One of the main action sequences in the film is this attack on Lara's house. And of course this annoys her to a certain extent because she was relaxing. So she decides to take them on. It's very fun to watch, but it's very time-consuming to shoot. Watch them go under, and then I'll shout now, and then the third one drops right in front of you, and that's when you go. Most of the time I'm having to explain that some things she just can't do, but it's not very much because she's very young, athletic, and she's trained for months for this. So she's actually very skillful in all these things.
1, action!
Now!
And the thing with her is that she learns so quickly. It's very surprising how fast she can learn something.
I think they've all gone.
Well, they got what they came for.
Eight Alpha Foxtrot, take 1A camera.
B camera.
Angelina knows exactly what she wants, and she knows she's capable of doing lots of things. She wants to be involved in everything.
Instead of backing down from, I don't want to be her and I don't want to step back, instead you kind of want to jump from thing to thing and do some crazy thing and get everybody to look at you and go, yeah, that's her again.
D220, Kilo, take 1.
This is once again when everybody starts to clear and I'm stuck on a prop somewhere.
You go into these fantastic sets, you have these great action sequences, but at the center of it, you love this person. I mean, you just want to be with Lara Croft the whole time. And I discovered that from the first day of shooting. I just realized, as long as I'm pointing the camera at Angie, I can't go wrong.
Here we go.
It was a lot more intricate than it appears because it's not just a fixed column swinging on it, you know, backwards and forwards. The whole idea of it, that it had to be released, it had to move forward across the set as well as going down at the same time.
We'd rehearsed this numerous times with the stunt doubles, and both of them had to take motion sickness pills because they were on this column for about 20 minutes and they were both sort of getting seasick. And also, they actually found it very difficult. They couldn't stand up on the log. Angelina literally got on, she stood up straight away, and she was like riding a surfboard. Everyone was so stunned. She did it better than the stunt doubles, better than what we'd seen in rehearsals, and I was saying this was not possible.
As much of it as it's a thing for people to believe that I can be her, I really would like to be like her. So if anybody even thinks I'm remotely close to her, I'm extremely flattered. And if they don't believe that I'm anything like her, I kind of would say, well, yeah. I agree. I'm the first one to say that I'm, just, I'm a bit of a dork, so at the end of the day, I'm clumsy.
The orrery set was actually very difficult because it's a very mechanical set and there's a lot of elements in there that are actually not only difficult but dangerous.
The harness that you have to wear has to be extremely tight, and it is extremely uncomfy. I always used to say to her, remember the key word, and the key word was suffer, because it really hurts. There's nothing you can do about it. And it's very dangerous. You're quite high up and revolving around, and there's nothing beneath you. But Angelina, she seems to have no fear.
Roll video.
I just wanted to win, and I did. But now we saved the world, right?
Alex, not now! What are you doing?
Get him off the block!
I said you were right. Just give me the clock. I know what to do.
We never planned to blow up the orrery, but it soon became apparent that we're going to take it apart anyhow, so why don't we blow it up?
I think at one point I had 14 cameras on the big set piece just because these events are unrepeatable.
I'm running through this orrery with water just crashing down, a tidal wave coming. There's planets exploding, debris falling. I'm not even acting, it's just like go from here to here and don't get hit by anything.
We were all commenting that how lucky we are to have Angelina.
She kind of raised the bar very, very high.
Angie became Lara Croft, and so
in a way, it was like I kept forgetting that she was an actress playing the part.
Once she started things, there was really no stopping her.
There's so many things in this film. I'm really proud of it. I don't know how I'm going to adjust to normal life.
Lara is an icon to the younger generation. She's great because she is that kind of clean living, all-round good person.
I think it's an intelligent game, and I think it's also really obvious. She's built.
Women want to be her, men want to be with her, and I think that's a recipe that works across both genders.
A video game for us is about escapism. It's a way of people maybe being something that they couldn't be in real life.
The history of Lara came from an E3 show where I saw for the first time Sony PlayStation and was like, wow, this is the future, this is where gaming is going, this is such a cool machine. Came back, said, these are the games that we've got to beat, these are the games we've got to get better at. It started like that.
It actually allowed us to sort of bring a sort of a dream that we had of what the game could be using the then, technology.
One of the guys said, I've got this great idea for a pyramid game, and like Egyptian game. I said, yeah, I just love that idea. And 6 months later, it said, there's the character, what do you think? Very cool, but Indiana Jones, and it was this male character. And I said, where's his wit? We're going to get sued. We need to change it. Literally a week later, I changed it, and there was Lara. Well, it's a woman. You've gone from a man, and now you put a woman there, you're going mad. And I said, no, it's going to be really cool. She's got to do so many different things that men can't do.
The game was about solving puzzles and looking after this character. And actually what we did, we wrote all the characteristics of the character down on a piece of paper. We wanted the character to certainly have an agility, almost a coyness. And the more we looked down this list, the more it pointed towards being a female character.
She was called Laura Cruz. And then we had to change the name because Americans can't say Laura. Laura like an English Laura. And they kept calling Lara. We go, there's Laura, no, it's Lara. So then Cruz didn't work.
Our perspective as English people is that the American people like a lot of our history, a lot of the things that England has that we take for granted. And we thought, well, let's really utilise that. That's why we changed the name from Laura Cruz, because to us that sounded more of an American name, to Lara Croft. And Tomb Raider was born from that.
I think the game came at a breakthrough time in the industry. Technology took a significant leap from the sort of 2D graphics into 3D graphics. And the gameplay, which is very compelling. You're an adventurer, you're in a world, you're fighting, you're going around finding objects with a very involved storyline.
Ah, Miss Croft. I take it you're ready to sign on. To what?
The timing for Lara was so good because there was this whole shift in the demographic of what was happening, if you like, in the whole female movement.
We knew that we wanted this character to be something other than a person that carried guns and just shot things, because that wasn't what the game was about.
All of a sudden, the women were far more confident in what they wanted to do, and sort of, why, guys, you are no better than we are. We can do what you guys can do, and hey, get out of our way because we're coming through.
There's certainly been other female characters in video games, but I think we were the first one really to take it and only be a female character. The easy option for us in Tomb Raider would have been to say, let's have a female and a male character, and you can select which one to be. But we thought this was key to the game, being a female character, that the male players would relate more to the character. They'd feel more in keeping. They wanted to nurture Lara and make sure, that she was protected and that she could survive the ordeal that was facing her. Tomb Raider 2, which is some 6 years ago now, when obviously the Laura sort of phenomenon was really taking off. There was almost a feeding frenzy around for what we were going to do next with Tomb Raider, and lots of people were actually asking and assuming that we were going to go off and do almost a computer-generated movie along the lines of sort of Toy Story, and I think they were very popular then. At the same time, the interest was sort of, it became fairly apparent that Laura as a character could make that transition from video game screen onto the big screen.
Our biggest concern when we were looking for a partner with the movie was exactly what they're going to do with Laura. Laura is our Mickey Mouse, and we're as protective over her as Disney is over Mickey, and we had to be pretty sure that we could say no. Paramount were the only company that were prepared to do that, the only movie studio that were prepared to do that.
We were very involved in looking at the script and the cast and the characters to make sure, once again, that the integrity of the property was maintained, because it was such a big part of our business, and we felt we didn't really want to compromise. And certainly with Angelina, there was no second choice. She's the perfect Lara Croft.
In my opinion, I don't think they could have got anybody better to be Lara Croft. She has so many of the sort of attributes that we've always thought Lara. She is a very strong-willed person. She really just also got a very soft and feminine side. Angelina Jolie has all of those attributes. She really took it to heart. She accepted everything, all the challenges. When I was down and seeing her on the set, she was in harnesses bouncing above 100 feet above us, and staggering, absolutely staggering.
She's got all those things. She has all the things we love about James Bond. She's got all the cool stuff. And, she comes from a certain past and history and a certain kind of she's got all that sexy intelligence, but she's also Indiana Jones, and she's a real active person.
The game and the movie are two different things. It just so happens that the movie is using a star of the game.
Whereas at the moment we're working a lot on what we're calling next generation Tomb Raider, and I think that the time has come maybe for Lara to meet other characters and interact with other characters, and other characters playing much more of a part of Lara's adventure.
The character that you see on the screen will be sharper, will have better animation, and once again your association with realism will be much better because of the technology.
Listen, the great thing about Lara is she can have a tuck and a lift and no one even notices, so she's in 30 years, she's still going to be around. But who knows, she may get married and have children, there'll be Lara, the daughter. Can you imagine? That'd be great.